Greetings, one, greetings, all. Special greetings to viewers and subscribers of this channel. Thank you very much for your feedback. Thanks for your encouragement. And thanks for all that you're doing to make this video channel what it is and what it's supposed to be. In today's episode of Time of Reckoning, I would like to take the time to talk a little bit about vaccines, and especially as it relates to the COVID-19 vaccines. You see, we have to face the fact that over the last 100 years, all the black nations of the world would have gained their independence during that time. With the exception of very few, on my mind right now is Haiti and Ethiopia in Africa. All the other countries that have black governments would have attained self-rule somewhere in the latter half of the last century, that is the 20th century. Over those last 100 years, the struggles have been long, hard, and grueling for black nations to wrestle white supremacy to the ground so that they could gain self-determination. Since that time that we have gained self-determination, we continue to struggle with neo-colonialism. And as a consequence of that, there are many in black societies that do not trust vaccines manufactured by those persons who did not like us, those persons who did not treat us right, and who did not teach us right. And no one can play down or downplay the seriousness of that matter. So, with this latest COVID-19 global pandemic, it is indeed a time of reckoning for white supremacy that so many people around the world do not trust them to provide a vaccine as a treatment or a cure for just about anything. We therefore need seriously to consider our options and alternatives. Those of us who have taken to heart the struggles of our ancestors, what they have been through at the hands of white supremacy, have every reason to be skeptical. Over the last nearly 30 years, the governments of the Caribbean have tapped into the resources of the Republic of Cuba to educate some of their less fortunate children who are brilliant but cannot afford education at certain levels to be trained freely on the island of Cuba. And so we have many doctors, many accountants, and many emerging scientists who would have gone through the Cuban program. And so, as a nation of resistance, they have appealed to the heart globally of people who are children of resistance themselves. And so we have identified ourselves with their struggle, and they have identified themselves with our struggle. I am saying that to say that the Cubans themselves are scientifically equipped, medicinally, as far as vaccine is concerned, and scientifically. Not because the Western media would not seek to highlight that fact, but it is a reality. And there are those of us who believe that if we are going to be vaccinated against COVID-19, we would prefer to be vaccinated using the vaccines manufactured and produced on the island of Cuba. And those of our brothers and sisters who over the last 30 years would have worked very hard to get the program going where children of the Caribbean can be integrated into the medical program of Cuba. We are now looking to them to help us to get vaccines from the island of Cuba so that those of us who do not trust the vaccines provided by white supremacists can be made available to us from Cuba. I am using this video as an opportunity to call on the World Health Organization to quickly approve the vaccines provided by Cuba for the COVID-19. There are many blacks in the United States. In fact, there are statistics to prove in the United States that of the vaccines rolled out in the US so far, that blacks are the lowest number of recipients. And there are those who are seeking to make it look as though it is many reasons why blacks are not being vaccinated. But the truth is, blacks do not trust vaccines provided by white people. And not just because they're white, because people would say that a lot of Cubans are white as well. But it's not just the color of the skin, it's the ideology of the mind. And that's why we call it white supremacy. Because we know for a fact that white nations in the past manufactured injections and vaccines that were specifically geared toward hurting black people. That is now an established fact. And as the old proverb says, once bitten, twice shy. So we're calling upon the authorities in each country, the government, heads of governments in the Caribbean and even around the world, to appeal to the World Health Organization to consider us who do not trust the fact that we have been hurt, we have been harmed, we have been targeted in the past for ill will through vaccines. Consider us that we have reasons for skepticism. And as a consequence of that, we have the right to a vaccine of our choice. And I believe I am speaking for many, if not all of those brothers and sisters who feel they cannot trust the vaccines provided by white supremacists, that we get vaccines from people we can trust. Many of us are prepared to trust the government and people of Cuba and the vaccines that they produce. The United States of America, over the last 60 years or so, have had this blockade against Cuba. In fact, the Helms-Burton Law, which speaks to trading with the enemy act, prevent many nations who use the US dollar from trading with Cuba. So we need special intervention from, like the World Health Organization, to help diffuse the situation as it results to Caribbean governments and black governments around the world, and maybe other people too, who are more prepared to trust the vaccines manufactured by Cuba so that those vaccines can be made available to us. There are many islands in the Caribbean who are not yet accessing the vaccines provided by Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, and AstraZeneca. They're still yet to be in some islands. And so the Cuban government is saying that in another month or so, their vaccines will be ready. And we know and are prepared to trust that with our eyes closed. So I am asking all to join with me in calling on the World Health Organization to resist any effort of white supremacist nation to bar Cuban vaccines from hitting the world market running. We are prepared to trust that vaccines with our eyes closed, more than any vaccines provided by the aforementioned agencies. And I am also using this opportunity to call on the United Nations to see to it that those nations of the world that have seriously hurt and harmed and set black people and other peoples back, that their time of reckoning should be there. We need unrepentant people to repent of their sins. We need apologies. We need redress. We need repair. We need reparations. And that will go a long way in helping so many of us to know that things are beginning to change. We are not expecting that to happen in a hurry because we have been agitating for that for many, many decades. Yes, some gains are being made. Gains are being made. The ice is being chipped away at, but there is no indication that it is anywhere near a full resolution. But the global pandemic is here, is upon us. And there is no doubt that it is going to be a major hurdle to overcome because, from all indications, we are beginning to see that without this vaccine, there are so many things that people are not going to be able to do that they used to do formerly. And so, if proof of vaccination is attached to things like global travel, we can see a big problem. Because there are many of us who are living where we were not born. There are many of us who have relatives in places where they were not born. And even if they were born there, they're related to people that live elsewhere too. So we have to visit places and peoples. And if we're going to have to prove that we're vaccinated to travel, that is going to be an issue. So if all of those things are going to be the case, then we are prepared to be vaccinated by vaccinations provided by people that we know we can trust. So the Cuban vaccines are to be rolled out soon. Many are prepared to trust that. Will the World Health Organization recognize the fear that many of us have for vaccines provided elsewhere as legitimate? And will they legitimize that awareness by making sure that the Cuban vaccine is recognized among vaccines approved for the treatment of COVID-19 and allow those people who are wherever they are on the planet who want to access that vaccine to do so freely? I am calling on our local leaders in the Caribbean, many of those who send friends and relatives to be trained in the island of Cuba, to spearhead the initiative to see to it that vaccines from Cuba are made available on the islands of the Caribbean so that those who are prepared to trust that have access to it. Do you agree with that? Are you of like mind? Is it that you might have some disagreement with that conclusion? Please leave a comment in the comment section. And please share this video because I know a lot of persons are of like mind. And if there is one thing I would like that this video does, is to send out a very clear call to the World Health Organization to consider the scores of people who are prepared to trust the Cuban vaccine more than any other and to make it available to them. That is my call. So, it is indeed a time of reckoning for the other nations as to why so many people do not trust the vaccines that they are providing. Their feelings are legitimate. Their doubts are well-founded. So it is a time of reckoning. You cannot just do anything you please at a given time in history and do not expect that it will come back to haunt you. The Tuskegee experience in the United States continued to hurt Black people. And so it doesn't matter where on earth Black people live, they are not quite prepared to trust and to swallow hook, line, and sinker the things provided by those scientists in those countries. Even if Blacks are among them who help provide it, that's not enough. We need a full throated apology for the wickedness that had gone on if we are going to change our mind in trusting these folks. So, to Cuba, many of us are looking to their vaccines, and we are appealing to the World Health Organization to consider making sure that among the vaccines available to people everywhere are the vaccines provided in Cuba. So I thank you so much for listening. Please, if you have not yet done so, click the subscribe button. There should be a notification button there as well that you can click so that as soon as the videos are uploaded, you can access them. We look forward to your feedback. And until that time, keep on progressing in your thinking. Bye for now.